Fringe festivals and any big event can be very stressful places, partly because of their busyness, B-U-S-Y-ness, their complexity. And large arts festivals, such as the one in my hometown of Brighton in the UK, but even more so at something like the Edinburgh Fringe, which is the one coming up for me as I record this in about a month's time, is all about coping with that chaos. And some people are really ready to cope with it, and others quite like it. And I would say if you've learned to juggle, you're going to find the Edinburgh Fringe, for example, easier to cope with that chaos. And I'm using that word not physically, although maybe that's relevant. It's about juggling too many things happening at once, too many things clamouring for your attention, too many problems to solve, too many worries. And there are a couple, particularly if you're a theatre maker looking to make back your money and get good reviews and to even generate a bit of surplus for your ongoing tour, or to have people from the industry coming to see it who might book you a tour. There is a real danger of having a struggle between foregrounding and backgrounding. It's kind of similar to prioritising, but I think it becomes particularly relevant, and it's relevant to your health and well-being if you find you're not coping with foregrounding and backgrounding and you're a kind of victim of it. In the context I'm using it here, foregrounding is the thing most present in your mind, the thing you are worrying about most, and ideally foregrounding should be a choice. You're choosing to prioritise your attention. Probably see some chairs being put out in my favourite cafe here. So it could be we're coming up to the show performance that day. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and the thing that you really need to be doing is getting into the mood, into the zone, maybe running through lines, maybe you need to warm up, maybe you have a really healthy ritual to getting into the zone for your show and getting into a character, so when you walk on stage you're absolutely at your best, and also at your best not at the price of your well-being. So you're not riding it by the seat of your pants because you've only just got into that position, but that it feels healthy and it feels right. And I certainly, when I interview theatre makers that do show after show, quite a lot of solo performers, but also big ensemble groups, they talk about their warm-up, they talk about on the day of a show, they're not reading reviews, they're not seeing any other shows after a certain time. They've got their own ritual for doing so. They might run through the whole script, they might run through their lines, they might close their eyes and picture themselves in character and do a piece from the performance. However they do it, it's a choice and it feels healthy. And so what they're doing is they're foregrounding the build up to the performance. And what they're then doing is backgrounding, checking ticket sales, they're backgrounding, worrying about whether the audience is coming in or not. They're backgrounding, and it's quite hard to do if they've had a real difficulty, maybe back in their accommodation, or maybe there's been a bit of a disagreement with somebody. And they're choosing to foreground the performance, which seems like a very healthy thing to me. But I often will sit down with people who've got an hour to go on, and I'm saying, how's it going? And they're clutching flyers, they're really upset with a review. You can see they're tapping on their phone to read that review again, and they're discussing it and they're obsessed with it. And it can be really difficult to background something like that. But that comes from developing yourself, and some people up at the Fringe do mindfulness and relaxation. Some simply go for a walk to shake off something. Sometimes it's good to talk it out, but then to let it go. And I respect that we're all different, and you might find it really hard to let stuff go. But it's good to notice that at least. And sometimes a problem shared is a problem diminished. So there are ways to stop foregrounding things, and it's certainly to stop talking about it, and if it's anything online, it's to get off social media for a day, or for at least the couple of hours before your show, and focusing on your show. And there's nothing better than the group coming together, doing a warm-up, going through your lines, chatting about something different. Now the problem with Edinburgh is they're nearly always what I'd call a polarity of foregrounding and backgrounding. What the hell does that mean? It simply means there's normally two big issues, and it's normally, I think, the polarity between have we sold tickets or have I had reviews. They're two particular ones. Or is something bothering me from a conflict or a dynamic between me and other people and actually my show that's coming up. So balance is what this is about, and I'm going to introduce a word which I really like, and you'll sometimes find it in kind of personal development, personal mastery, even spiritual practice, which is equanimity. And equanimity is something you can practice every day, which is if you're feeling really negative, as real as you can, as authentically as you can, look for the good in something else. Say something nice to somebody else, and try and come to a place where the pendulum that is swinging between two extremes comes back to somewhere in the middle ground. Now, if there's a lot of things that are clamouring for your attention, you've got all kinds of stuff in the foreground, and in the background now is your performance or your enjoyment of what you're doing, or your happiness, on your well-being. Everybody that I talk to in Edinburgh, for example, talks about they walk it off. They've got some special deal where they can go for a swim every day, and that becomes a good thing. I talk on many videos about finding your favourite cafe. Some have gone for a sort of clearing walk up Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh, which is a big kind of hill that you can walk up right in the middle of the city, not far from the centre, to get to. Getting away from the noise is another one, just things being a bit quieter and calmer, finding those silent little squares in the city. And as I say, somebody who puts a smile on your face. It could be a friend, it might be a WhatsApp call back home, but equanimity is trying to find that middle place where actually nothing surprises you when you need it not to. And it becomes a place of not over analysing, not being over intense. And the danger in big fringe festivals of foregrounding is they're associated with real feelings of intensity, and trying to come back to a place of lightness. Humour can do that too. A lot of people say that when I chat to them, I do sometimes make them laugh, and it does seem to lessen the worry. And so having people in your life where you can do that, where you can be a bit humorous, go and see a comedy show, because laughter can be a real kind of release of tension. All of these things bring you back to equanimity, the place in the middle that is not mediocre. It's not necessarily boring to be in a place where you don't allow the extremes. And you might notice that if the rest of your year's been a bit difficult, or a lot of people have a day job they don't absolutely love, the danger is you get very addicted to the highs and lows. The fringe. But ultimately, not only can that affect your mental well-being, in physical well-being, when we're foregrounding things and backgrounding our health, we don't need to eat properly, we don't take exercise, we don't drink enough water, and all of those things can lead to you not being at your best. People fall over in large fringe festivals, they break bones, they fall down steps, they sprain their ankles and stuff. And you can do your back in simply because you're not walking well, you're not sitting upright because you're hunched, because you're foregrounding worries that are not to do with the performance you're doing in about half an hour. So lots of ways of communicating and looking after yourself, and don't become addicted because your year is maybe not as fun and exciting and intense as your Edinburgh Fringe for a month. The danger then is you foreground the wrong things at the wrong time. You can have loads of intense conversations, you can get delighted and angry at the reviews, you can go to parties, but ultimately if you are up at the Edinburgh Fringe because of the work, you're up there because your creativity, or the creativity you're involved in, that you want to feel that you were at your best, and it did its best, and it therefore achieved its best looking back after a fringe festival. Then you have to make sure that you foreground the work when you need to. So this is an invitation, as I'm sitting here at the beginning of a day here, noticing in my mind what worries me, and sometimes that gets in the way and I notice I haven't got time to record this video. That's a shame. And there's nothing for me like a pot of tea and a little bit of nature in the city, and I find I come back to that place of equanimity and very quickly notice that the troubles aren't going to go away, but I don't need to be foregrounding them right now. So just notice as you come up to your performances to where you can foreground the work, to try and stop the pendulum swinging from time to time, and to look after yourself.